What is area? Part 1. Let's start with something simple. Look around you for a moment. You may see a table, a phone screen, a notebook, a door, or the floor. All these things have a flat surface. The tabletop has a surface. The phone screen has a surface. The notebook cover has a surface. The floor has a surface. Today, we are going to learn about one important idea: area. Area means how much space a flat surface covers. For example, if you put your hand on a table, your hand covers some space. If you put a book on the table, the book covers more space. If you put a large tray on the table, it covers even more space. That covered space is related to area. So, when we talk about area, we are asking, how much flat space is covered? A small phone screen has a small area. A large television screen has a bigger area. A small notebook has a smaller area than a big poster. So, remember this first idea. Area means how much flat space something covers. Part 2. Now you may think, why do I need to learn area? I am not building a house. That is true. Most of us are not building a house today, but area is still useful in daily life. For example, if you want to buy a screen protector for your phone, you need the correct size. A screen protector that is too small will not cover the screen. A screen protector that is too large will not fit. If you want to cover a table with a tablecloth, you need to know how large the tabletop is. If someone wants to paint a wall, they need to know the area of the wall. A bigger wall needs more paint. A smaller wall needs less paint. If a room needs new floor tiles, people need to know the area of the floor. If they buy too few tiles, the floor cannot be finished. If they buy too many tiles, they waste money. Area helps us answer questions like, how much paper do I need? How much paint do I need? How many tiles do I need? Will this cover fit? So area is not only a maths topic. It is a useful idea in real life. Area helps us know how much space we need to cover. Part 3. Before we use numbers and formulas, let's understand area in an easier way. You can use your hand. Imagine putting your hand on a table. Your hand covers part of the table. Now imagine you want to know how large the tabletop is. You may ask, how many hands are needed to cover the whole tabletop? Maybe the table is about 20 hands. Maybe it is about 25 hands. Maybe it is about 30 hands. This gives us a rough idea of the area. But there is one problem. Different people have different hand sizes. An adult's hand may be larger. A child's hand may be smaller. Your hand may not be the same size as your friend's hand. So, one person may say, this table is 20 hands big. Another person may say, no, it is 30 hands big. Both people may be trying their best, but the answers are different because the hand sizes are different. So using hands is a good way to understand area, but it is not exact. We can use our hands to understand area, but the answer is only an estimate. Part 4. Let's try another example. Imagine you want to measure the area of a notebook cover. You can use a rubber. You put the rubber on the cover again and again. Then you may say, this notebook cover is about 12 rubbers. But here comes the problem again. Some rubbers are big. Some rubbers are small. If you use a big rubber, you may need fewer rubbers. If you use a small rubber, You may need more rubbers. The notebook did not change. Only the measuring object changed. That means the answer is not very fair. So, to measure area better, we need to use the same unit. A unit means something we use for measuring. For area, a very useful unit is a same size square. Why squares? Because squares can fit together neatly. They can cover a flat surface without leaving many gaps. This is why we often use square units to measure area. To measure area fairly, we need to use the same size unit, often a same size square. Part 5. Now let's move to a clearer method. Grid paper. Grid paper is paper with many small squares. Each small square is the same size. This is very helpful because everyone is using the same unit. If a shape covers one small square, its area is 1 square unit. If a shape covers 6 small squares, its area is 6 square units. If a shape covers 20 small squares, its area is 20 square units. Let's imagine a shape on grid paper. There are 4 small squares in the first row. There are 4 small squares in the second row. There are 4 small squares in the third row. Now count them. 4, 8, 12. So the area is 12 square units. This is area in a very simple form. We are counting how many same-size squares are inside the shape. Grid paper helps us find area by counting the number of same-size squares inside a shape. Part 6. Now let's stop and clear up one common misunderstanding. Area is not the same as length. Length is about how long something is. For example, a pencil has length. A ruler has length. The side of a table has length. Length is like a line, but area is about a surface. For example, a phone screen has area. A tabletop has area. A notebook cover has area. A wall has area. Area is about flat space. Here is an easy example. Think about a piece of toast. The edge of the toast has length. The top of the toast has area. If you put jam on the toast, you are covering the area, not just the edge. So remember, length is about how long. Area is about how much flat space. Length is like a line. Area is like a flat surface. Part 7. Now we are ready to look at a rectangle. A rectangle is a very common shape. You can see rectangles in many places. A phone screen, a television screen, a book cover, a door, a tabletop, a photo, or a piece of paper. A rectangle has 4 sides. The opposite sides are equal. Now imagine a rectangle drawn on grid paper. It has 5 squares in one row. It has 3 rows. We can count all the squares. First row, 5 squares. Second row, 5 squares. Third row, 5 squares. So, 5 plus 5 plus 5 equals 15. The area is 15 square units. But there is a faster way. There are 5 squares in each row. There are 3 rows. So we can use multiplication. 5 times 3 equals 15. This is why we use the formula. Area of a rectangle equals length times width. The length tells us how many squares are in one row. The width tells us how many rows there are. When we multiply them, we find the total number of squares inside the rectangle. To find the area of a rectangle, use area equals length times width. Part 8. Let's try a few examples. Example 1. A small poster is 6 units long and 4 units wide. That means there are 6 squares in each row and 4 rows. So, 6 times 4 equals 24. The area is 24 square units. Example 2. A tabletop is 8 units long and 5 units wide. So, 8 times 5 equals 40. The area is 40 square units. Example 3. A phone screen is 12 centimeters long and 6 centimeters wide. So, 12 times 6 equals 72. The area is 72 square centimeters. This tells us how much flat space the screen covers. When the length or width becomes bigger, the area usually becomes bigger too. For a rectangle, multiply the length and the width to find the area. Part 9. Now let's look at a square. A square is a special rectangle. It has 4 equal sides. That means all sides are the same length. You may see squares in many places. A square tile, a sticky note, a chessboard square, a square window, or a square piece of chocolate. A square piece of chocolate is a good example, but it may not stay on the table for long. If one side of a square is 4 units, then all sides are 4 units. On grid paper, this square has 4 squares in each row. It also has 4 rows. So, 4 times 4 equals 16. The area is 16 square units. For a square, we can use area equals side times side. Why? Because the length and the width are the same. To find the area of a square, use area equals side times side. Part 10. Let's try some square examples. Example 1. A square tile has a side of 5 centimeters. So, 5 times 5 equals 25. The area is 25 square centimeters. Example 2. A square sticky note has a side of 7 centimeters. So, 7 times 7 equals 49. The area is 49 square centimeters. Example 3. A square garden has a side of 10 meters. So, 10 times 10 equals 100. The area is 100 square meters. For a square, once you know one side, you can find the area because all sides are equal. For a square, multiply one side by itself to find the area. Part 11. Now let's talk about the unit. This is a small point, but it is important. If the length is measured in centimeters, the area is measured in square centimeters. For example, a rectangle is 6 centimeters long and 3 centimeters wide. Area equals 6 times 3. So the area is 18. But the answer is not just 18 centimeters. The answer is 18 square centimeters. We can also write it as 18 square centimeters. The word square tells us that we are talking about area, not just length. If we measure a floor in meters, the area is in square meters. For example, 20 square meters means an area of 20 square meters. So do not say only 18 centimeters when the answer is area. 18 centimeters is length. 18 square centimeters is area. Area uses square units, such as square centimeters or square meters. Part 12. Now let's look at a common mistake. If a rectangle is 6 centimeters long and 4 centimeters wide, some students may say 6 plus 4 equals 10. But 10 centimeters is not the area. That is only adding 2 side lengths. Area is about the space inside the rectangle. We need to count all the squares inside. There are 6 squares in each row and 4 rows. So we should calculate 6 times 4 equals 24. The area is 24 square centimeters. For area, we usually multiply. So remember this, the area is not walking along the sides. The area is covering the inside. When finding area, do not just add the sides. For rectangles and squares, use multiplication. Part 13. Let's put everything together. Area means how much flat space is covered. At first, we can understand area by using simple things like our hands. A table may be about 20 hands or 30 hands, but hands are different sizes, so this is only an estimate. Then we can use same size squares. Grid paper helps us count the squares inside a shape. After that, we can use formulas. For a rectangle, area equals length times width. For a square, area equals side times side. The formula is not magic. It is just a faster way to count squares. So next time you see a phone screen, a book cover, a tabletop, a wall, a floor, or even a piece of chocolate, you can ask, how much flat space does it cover? That is area. Area means how much flat space is covered. We can understand area by using hands, objects, and grid paper. For rectangles, use length times width. For squares, use side times side.